Hey guys, it's Mr. Sheeline here. Decided to show my face for a video for a change. I just wanted to make sure that when you guys are working on this activity at home, basically just doing the calculations, that you're doing them correctly, and that there's really no confusion. So anyway, I'm gonna breeze past numbers 1 through 4 because for the most part, numbers 1 through 4 we should be able to calculate those. We should be able to use our notes in order to solve for those. They're not as important as some other questions are in how you answer them. So this material you should have, you should have gotten this in class. This is part of the measurements for the burning of the candle. Um, so looking at the questions for, burning the candle. So finding the molar mass. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you guys, and I'm going to write in here which set of notes you can use in order to solve for these and to find them. So for the molar mass, this one, and also just recognize that it's saying to put them in these units, but the molar mass can be found in actually, let's just do 5 point. I'll just write down 5. This can be found in 5.3 part 1 notes. Okay, so just finding molar mass. So looking in there and that I think is a chemical measurements portion of the notes. So just find the molar mass of C25H52. Okay, easy peasy. For B, how many atoms of carbon are in 1 mole of wax? Let's see. Let me get rid of this real quick. Come on. Come on. Okay. Well, I guess my toolbar doesn't want to work because why not? Okay, there we go. So how many atoms of carbon are in 1 molecule of wax? I'll just say for that one, this one should be obvious. For B and also C for these two, just look to this guy right here. This is where you can find the answers pretty simply. It's just asking, how many atoms of carbon do you have? How many atoms of hydrogen do you have? So, not too bad. Okay, pretty straightforward, though one that's easy to overthink. I'll say that much. Okay, and then D and E. So D and E, these are molar conversions here. So this is going to be the 5.3 or 5.3 part 2 notes. Okay, these are your molar conversions for both these questions here, for again D and E here. So use 5.3 part 2 notes in order to solve this. And I'll just say that, and as a reminder, because I should have said this in class, I did say this in class. What I want you to do here is I do not want you guys to solve D and then use your answer in D for E. I want you to start both D and E, starting with the mass that you calculated, that difference in mass of the candle, the amount that basically, burned off. I want you to use that mass and start with that for both D and E. Do not use the answer you found in D and start there at E, okay? So I'll just say that. Just start with the mass for both D and E, okay? And that'll pretty much translate the same way here for part 2 and 3. Part 2 and 3, yeah. Molar mass, again, that's going to be 5.3. Part 1 notes, how many grams of wax were used to write your name? That is just a reiteration of more of the, more or less just the mass used up here. It's the same answer. Okay, these are the two same things. It's just this is your data table where you're keeping all your information, all your data. Here's where you're answering those questions. C and D are just like are the same as the was it C and D for part 1? Not C and D, but D and E. So C and D is in part 2 is just like D and E in part 1. Start off with the mass that you calculated, the mass that you measured, the difference of mass, the mass used for both in this case for the wax from the crayon. Yeah, use use the difference in mass, start there for both C and D. Okay, it's like, so for C, it's like mass to moles. D is like mass to particles, in this case, molecules. And you'll do the same thing for G and H, just for the chalk though. Okay. And then just part three here. Make sure, again, most of part 3 is all measurements in the lab. So make sure that, if you don't have those, that you need to come in at some point and get all those measurements. But yeah, you just find the mass, and then you are going to calculate the molar mass of each of them. And you can do that easily using the chemical formulas that are found here. And then once you have the molar mass, and then the mass, you're going to use the mass and use the molar mass as your conversion factor to find out how many moles of, say, aspirin are in this one aspirin tablet. How many moles of wood are in this one piece of wood that you found the mass of? How many moles of aluminum are in the aluminum foil? Okay. And then finally on A, and I know that seems kind of strange that just the one question is specifically just for the aspirin, but find the percent composition for aspirin in A. Okay, and that's going to be what we just went over not too long ago. That's going to be 5.4. Those are the notes you should use in order to find that. Okay, and then one last thing, make sure there are some questions that I do want you to show work on. And pretty much the only ones I want you to show work on are going to be G and H. Like, we need to show work there, keep sig figs there. We should be showing our work for C and D here, show sig figs, or keep sig figs, I should say. And then D and E need to show work. Okay, molar conversions, we need to show work, just like we've been doing all along. The percent composition, you really don't need to show work there, but you do need to show work for D and E. Okay. So that's pretty much it. If you guys still have any questions concerning this while you're, not in class, or if there are any other questions that do pop up, make sure you ask me on the last day that we'll have planned for you guys to work on this in class. Okay. So if there's nothing else, I'll see you guys in the next one.